Okay, thanks for joining me again. Morning, everyone. I'm PttoC. Some of you, I don't know if you've seen this one from 2 years ago, but we've changed a little. Someone else is joining us again. Excuse me. From the presentation I did about 2 years ago. But what I'm going to do is take you through very briefly what, not totally just the product, but really what Push-to-Talk over cellular is, what the advantages are, where it sits in the marketplace, what the key target markets are, and then just show you how easy it is to almost, for you guys to even sell and promote, because it's nothing like the old ToooAir radio we had before. Who is ToooAir? Well, we're an Australian company specializing in push-to-talk over cellular, PttoC. What is PttoC or push-to-talk? Push-to-talk over cellular is the same as normal PTT. And what is PTT? Well, some of you may know it as two-way radio. It's been known as walkie-talkie. What's going on here? Sorry, walkie-talkie, simplex radio, just normal like a CB radio. And I have quite a few friends who often say, "Oh, I mean, you know, they find up in the two-way radio business and they say, oh my God, I thought that was dead long ago," because they don't come across two-way radio because everyone now walks around holding a phone. And no, what are the big two things about push-to-talk? And this is not just push-to-talk over cellular, it's just push-to-talk. Well, one is the fast call setup, which is instantaneous. I push a button and I can talk, and I still use that scenario of the cop running down the street chasing someone, and he wants to call his mate at the end of the block, and he starts dialing 10 digits and he can't get through, or he dials the wrong number. "Sorry, John, I wanted Michael." And here you push a button and you can talk to him. But more so is you can do a broadcast call or a group call, and as we call it, one-to-many simulcast. I talk to 10, I talk to 20, I could talk to 50 people all at the same time. And the benefits of that, as you would know, with especially in emergency services, fire, police, and security, that's where push-to-talk comes into effect. Traditional push-to-talk used to be known as LMR or PMR, land mobile radio, private mobile radio, been around for hundreds of years, well, 80 years or whatever. After Morse code, was normally on VHF and UHF, analog or FM, and you would know that from your car radios, that you had AM, which crackled, and FM that was clearer, same modulation process. You had simplex, which was really pretty much the same frequency, radio to radio, or you had duplex that went through repeaters like CB radios can do on your first 8 channels, and multi-site repeaters. I'm not going to get into any of this, and this slide pretty much goes through the protocols and what is used still in traditional PTT. You have trunking, your system down in Victoria that is closing down the MPT system, the statewide radio network. SMR is a trunking network using analog and a bit of digital. You have DMR, you'll have heard that in the radio industry. It's digital mobile radio, or DPMR, digital private mobile radio. There are protocols called TETRA, P25, MPT. They are really just protocols. P25 very much used in emergency services, police, and so on. All different protocols, but all pretty much using UHF or VHF spectrum. So traditional push-to-talk, what are the disadvantages there? Limited area coverage. I can pick up a 5-watt radio and I pretty much can't talk much more than from here to a insight 5 kilometers, unless I've got a repeater or I am in line of sight. So if I was standing on the top of the Dandenong Mountains, I could most probably talk a good 20 kilometers down with an inliner sight. But I'd rather have a repeater on top of 101 Collins Street, and then I can talk pretty much around the Bay Area. But I'd most probably battle to get to Geelong. So it's limited coverage that you get from traditional PTT radio, unless you have linked repeaters, but then you're going and you're paying someone for multi-million-dollar setup of connected services like Telstra did with the statewide radio network. So you have a defined area of access. Your radios all have to be 5 or 25 watts because of the distances you're trying to get to from a radio. And these have disadvantages in the power, being especially low battery power, that you have to low battery life, because you're running a high wattage unit that's power hungry, and the higher equipment costs on traditional PTT devices. So what type of market segments do we look for, and who still uses push-to-talk over cellular, push-to-talk? And pretty much transport, and I'll go through these very quickly: couriers, taxis, tow trucks, railways, in the construction industry, and we have a lot of people out in cement deliveries and so on. Security, I don't think you can walk into a Westfield these days and not see that the cleaners and the security and everyone have a radio, sometimes tucked into their pocket with a little covert microphone. Hospitality, most restaurants, a lot of restaurants use radio to talk to their waiters from the kitchen and so on. Manufacturing, agriculture as well. And then there is the critical comms. We don't profess to be big into that market, but it is gaining popularity in the push-to-talk cellular, and that's police, ambulance, and fire services, mainly government services. So the ToooAir platform features what makes push-to-talk unique within the ToooAir system. One is we can do broadcast calls, one-to-many. I can push a button and talk to 50 radios at the same time. I can talk to one radio at the same time. So unlike the old traditional push-to-talk or that ran out just on a UHF frequency, I couldn't target one radio particularly. You can do that now, and I can talk to just one radio. I have a dispatch console. No longer do I need a computer, a radio sitting on a bench in the office connected to a 12-volt power supply. A $300, $400 computer, as long as it's got a microphone and a speaker, I can put the software on it and talk to everyone exactly like I'm talking to this Zoom session through my computer. All our radios are GPS. They have a GPS receiver in them, and that is polled every 10, 20 seconds. So we can get a GPS location of every single radio and track it, and I'll show that to you on the platform. We do the track log and voice log recording, so I can go back in time and the computer will have looked at, recorded the track log, and I'll show that to you, of Mary coming into the office this morning, and voice recording. So I can go back and say, on the 5th of January, where was this radio and who did he talk to? And especially for work health and safety, might be a security company and I want to know, let's say, at a break-in at 10 o'clock, we can show that at 9 o'clock our our radio was there and he reported everything was good. I can stun a radio. No longer when someone got hold of an old UHF or VHF radio, or even take CB, where you get someone with colorful language, I could just target that radio and take it off air. And text messaging to all the radios, or radio dependent. SOS function, all our radios now have an SOS button on them, and I will demonstrate this when showing you the platform, that I can initiate an emergency from any radio and it creates an alarm and zooms into a location. Lone worker, that's for someone who's working alone in maybe an environment, call it, where there are fumes, and you'd want to know if that person was overcome by fumes. Or a security guard, I can say I want to hear from every radio or any particular radio at different times. Every 20 minutes, I want that guy to talk to me and just tell me he's okay. I can set that up, and I can get alarms if he doesn't talk to me. Geofencing as well, I can go and put an area around a building, a area, or whatever. Let's say I'm a council. I want to know if my guys are sneaking out and going to use their tip truck for private work, whatever. If that truck leaves the council area, or if someone comes into a restricted area within the airport or whatever, I can have the system set up to create alarms. Call hierarchy, I can give all the radios in a fleet a different call hierarchy, 10 different levels. I use the scenario of a mine, and you've got all the guys, or in, let's say, an open pit mine, but then the foreman, and they all yakking about their Saturday night, and the foreman comes online. He can talk over everyone else, and when he pushes his push to talk, it cuts them off. You couldn't have that in your old UHF traditional systems. However, when the blasting operator comes on, he can talk over the foreman and everyone because he has a higher priority. Waypoint markers, a marker we can put on the map. Temporary groups, whilst I have different groups, I again use the scenario of a council that do garbage collection, and they have 10 trucks doing let's say picking up the normal garden waste, and another 10 trucks doing the green waste. I want to just talk to the ones doing the green waste because someone didn't collect their garbage. I just need to talk to those trucks. However, I could talk to all the garbage trucks and say, is anyone near this location? But even more so, I can create a user talk group by area. It doesn't matter who's in a particular area. I could have 50, let's say, concrete trucks out there, but I only want to talk to my guys. Doesn't matter whether they're in, or if it was the council, where they were the garbage, or they were doing maintenance or whatever. I want to talk to all the people, let's say, in the Geelong area. I can talk to all the people in the Geelong area. Missed call alert. If a radio, and particularly one that's, let's say, a fixed mount in a vehicle, receives a call on a private, I do a private call to that vehicle, and the person's not in that vehicle, they'll get back into that vehicle and it will be beeping, and they will hear the slow beep. And later on, when I take you through the features of the radio, show you that we can actually talk to that radio and they can listen to that message that was sent to that radio. Calling name display, all the radios will show you who's online and who is calling you when they call. So you're getting a call from John or Michael or the dispatcher, whether it's a private call, and so on. Group name announcement, that is for our phone devices and some of our Android devices, or a device like this that doesn't have a screen. Because there's no screen, but I want to know what group I'm on, it will announce
Enter
the
group
group.
Bondi Beach. Enter group Sydney CBD.
So depending
Enter group Bondi Office.
on the group I'm on, it will read out the name of the group. I can actually also get the username announcement. I'm in the Bondi Office group right now.
User Radio 5. User Radio 3.
I can get Radio 3 or Radio 5, and from there,
user Radio 7.
So Radio 7, I want to do a private call to Radio 7. I just hold that button in.
Private call Radio 7. Private call successfully. Enter group Radio 2.
So it's told me I'm now in a private call with Radio 2. In that group, I can communicate with them, and when I'm finished that call, I just hold the button in again.
Exit private call successfully.
I've
Enter
exited
group
the
Bondi Office.
It's told me what group I'm back into, and now when I push the push to talk, I'll talk to all 50 people in that group. Our platform now has a full video interface and feature set that is pretty much a presentation for another time, but I'll just slowly take you through it. We have an iOS and Android app interface. So I could have a group of 50 radios out there, fixed mount radios, but I can actually talk to those radios from my mobile phone. In that, let's say I've got tow truck fleet operators, they've got their 20 radios, they're running out on Saturday night, the owner of the company goes out, he doesn't want to go out with one of his radios, he can take his phone, sign into the app, he can see where all his guys are, and if he needs to talk to someone, he can actually talk to them without actually having a radio. And again, another feature of it is the over-air programming. You don't have to bring radios into programming to change groups or names or anything. We do it over air. I've got 50 radios out there, and this company wants to add, or John left it, and the radio was called John, and it's now Michael. I can change it over air. But the major advantages over PMR are still wide area, and that is Australia-wide. I pick up a little radio like this that looks like a $300 CB radio maybe, and I can talk to Mary. Mary, are you down there? And there you can see Mary sitting in your offices. Mary sitting in the offices there, I can talk to Mary. And if Mary was sitting in Darwin or Kalgoorlie, I could talk to her as well. So from the bottom tip of Tasmania to anywhere. And in fact, if I'm using it on a phone, or I have a data network and I'm using it through the app on my phone, or I have the SIM card in there, I could pretty much be anywhere in the world. And yes, all our radios, and I'll take this through you when I go product, are 3G and 4G compatible now. And that is the type of coverage you get even across the Newell Highway. There's a lot of areas. We actually are running a fleet of hop-on and hop-off buses that run between Alice Springs and Kalgoorlie, Alice Springs and the Rock. And they've never had communications down that way, but there's quite a lot of Telstra sites down that road, and they run the transport through there. Okay, another big advantage, it works in tunnels. UHF and VHF never worked in tunnels. The only people who have radios that work in tunnels are the tunnel operators or maybe the police, because they've put their own frequency and their own repeaters with leaky coax through the tunnels. But so has Telstra got sites right through a tunnel, so it works. So we have a lot of tow truck people on our system because they love it because it works in tunnels. They love it because it's secure, and I'll go through that later. Underground car parks and enhanced in-building reception. Not because UHF normally propagates better than 700 megahertz, and UHF has a higher output in traditional PtT, but you only have maybe 1 or 2 sites dotted around Melbourne, whereas with cellular, you have maybe 4 or 5 sites dotted around any one particular building or shopping centre. So we come to you as a push-to-talk provider, but with 8,300 repeaters dotted around Australia, and that's pretty much how it works. Our product range, we have the most comprehensive product range within the Australian market in the push-to-talk area. If I look at our products, and I'm going to go through some of this very quickly, but all our new radios are now 3G, 4G, and 4GX. That's band 28. That's the 700 megahertz band that's being rolled out by Telstra into the country, and it gives great propagation at that frequency. So yes, you're getting enhanced coverage of the network, and our radios are all compatible with that. All our radios have the SOS function, and I'll demonstrate that to you on the dispatcher. We also have a hot mic on our SOS, and that is that if I press the SOS, I also open the microphone on the radio for 20 seconds. So if I'm in a bit of trouble, someone's attacking me, I'm a security guard or whatever, I'll push the SOS, they'll get my location, but they'll also hear me. I don't have to sit there talking. I can just say, guys, I'm in trouble, send something quickly, and you've got my location. All our units do the missed call alert, so getting back into the vehicle afterwards, or a radio that's on a desk, I get back in, it will be beeping and tell me someone tried to call me. and I can listen to that conversation. I'll show you. And they all have an 8K codec now at an enhanced. It's a higher sampling rate of your voice and gives you better sound. If we look at our radios, the most popular, the 682, has become probably our most popular selling unit. It has a screen. I'm not going to go through every feature, everything, because it's just too detailed. We have a brochure that lists all our products, gives you the whole range and the unique properties of each radio. So they're all compatible, they all talk to everything and the platform. But you know, I do have, especially in construction, people who don't want a screen because of the light for security, or you want a really ruggedized radio, you can drop it, it's not going to crack screens or whatever. But they can all receive a text message, or this unit can receive a text message. It has 6 programmable buttons. That is just a very shortcut to say, I want to go to that group or that one particular user. So the programmable, these are user programmable once you've got the unit. I want to always just talk to the dispatcher, or I always want to just talk to the foreman, or I want to talk to all the people on my project today, and they can all be in different groups. It's supplied with a desktop charger, but this unit has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. That's going to give you much more than a day's use. Again, the benefit of push-to-talk over cellular, it doesn't need 5 watts to get out the system. It only needs 800 milliwatts, means the battery is not drawing a lot of power. It's pretty much like a phone in the way it operates. The closer you are to a tower, it backs off the power, and that's why you get such long life. And even in the vehicles, your power to keep the radio, it doesn't have to draw 10 amps, and you have those thick cables for a 25-watt radio. It's drawing under half an amp. The interesting one, this one, are dual mode, 2 aerials, as you can see. Our IP radio, I can talk to every other radio out there, but I also have a UHF, and it's a full UHF separate board in here. And we have approved it as a CB radio as well. So it comes programmed with CB. So I can talk to all my guys in a group, but I can also talk to CB users. I can also program in analog frequencies, 39 frequencies for a private use that are registered through the ACMA. I can also put in 78 frequencies from 400 to 480 meg for receive only. This unit has a numeric keypad on it as well, and that's for easy going to your CB channel instead of having to scroll like on some of the radios 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, especially now that we've got 80 channel CBs, and also for 3-digit dialing, which I'll talk of when I get to the mobiles. This new little 430 is what I call our pocket radio. It's super slim. It's only 1.5 centimeters thick, no antenna, and 180 grams, and sits in your pocket very easily. And I can have, all our radios have a, it's closed up with the protective cover here. It's either a Kenwood or a Motorola connector on the side that's compatible, that any of our accessories or the accessories will, as a speaker microphone or a covert microphone for the security, where you've got your little PttoC, will work with this, and this can sit easily in your pocket or back pocket and so on. 4,000 milliamp hour battery, that's going to give you over a 1.5 days use. And it also announces, and if it gets a message, you will get that message read out to you. It's a text to speech. The radio without a screen, which I showed you, where just everything, because there's no screen, it's all voice announcement.
Enter group Bondi Beach. Enter group Bondi office.
So you can pretty much do everything you can with the ones with the screen. But when I look at our fleets, most of our fleets don't use more than 2 or 3 groups and or use private dialing. It is just a very robust unit. And again, a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. Our mobiles, Okay, so the mobiles, which are fixed mounts, they now have a front-facing speaker that is 3 watts and gives you need that in a truck. All our mobiles come with a 3G and 4G antenna and a GPS antenna, so you don't have to go and buy antennas for units. They are puck antennas that sit on the top of the dashboard. This unit, the 990, has an 8-way accessory port out the back, and I'm not going to bore you with all of that, but it's for if you had locations where people want to send the SOS because the temperature in the refrigerator truck at the back has gone down, and so on. The 991, which almost looks identical from the front, but as we can see has a much slimmer profile, does all the features of all the radios I've talked to you right now. It will read out the message, it can receive those text messages, and a loud output on the speaker. All our mobile radios, the fixed mounts, also have a speaker output at the rear, so you can go to an external speaker. This 995 is very similar to the other 2 units, but like our mobile with the dual band, this is a dual band mobile. It's got a CB radio built in. It will do the 80-channel CB and also programmable channels. You can see from, can you see my mouse moving? I don't know. But on the speaker, sorry, on the microphone there, you can see there are 2 PtTs. One will transmit to all my IP radios, and the other one will transmit out on CB. And this is used a lot in councils and construction, where they get to the tip, or you get onto a construction site and it says, please go UHF 12 or 15 to go to a UHF channel. The unit can also be used as a cross-band talk-through repeater, in that whatever I receive on UHF on this radio and vice versa can go out on the IP. So I could set a radio up in a location, people could be talking on CB there, this thing will receive it and transmit it out to the IP, and I could be sitting in Newcastle in New South Wales listening to the CB people on a site down in Tasmania. And then this unit has a big screen on it where I can get my mapping, so I can see where all my other units are. This unit can make a telephone call. Just by the way, I'll go back to that unit. There's a keypad on it, so I can do 3-digit dialing from the keypad. Very useful if I've got a big fleet, and we've got 1 or 2 down in Victoria and buses. I want to do an individual call, or especially like the concrete trucks have to sometimes just call, not to give interference to all the other vehicles on the road, on the system, but they want to just talk to one radio or one base. And they've got 7 bases dotted around Melbourne. They all know base 001 is Geelong, 002 might be up in the Dandenongs or whatever, and they don't have to go through a whole list of people. They just dial the 3-digit numbers and do a private call using the keypad. This unit can do telephone calls. I can put in a telephone number and make a normal phone call using the speaker microphone there. The useful thing there is that it's you can actually make a telephone call through the two-way radio system, and it's a normal phone call for any what reason that you're using it, and you can be in a vehicle and you won't be pulled over for using a fixed microphone. Just back to our mobiles that I had, I mean our handhelds, they all have a USB connector, and I can charge the unit with a normal 5-volt USB cable. Most vehicles these days have a USB in them, and you don't need to put a drop-in charger in the vehicle or whatever and charge them. And then last of all, about to be launched, not on the market right now, but give us another few weeks, is this beautiful little small radio, so you can get an idea of the size. That's it in my hand. It just fits in the palm of my hand. Very easy to install into any vehicle, like some of those super compact CB radios out there. It does Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, all the features of the others, but it's just a super compact. We've spent a lot of time on this radio, especially to get the volume to a level we're happy with it, even in a truck. It's because of its compact size, but it also has speaker output on the back. You are the first to be seeing this product. I'm not going to go through the body-worn camera in any great detail, but we have a body-worn camera. The benefit of this unit is it's your push-to-talk radio as well. There's a push-to-talk button on the side and on the top. The speaker is on the top, so if it's sitting in on my pocket here as the radio, I just push the button over here and I can talk into it, talk to all my guys, hit the button on the front. I can record 64 hours of internal memory, but I can also live stream to the unit. So I can, from my dispatcher, say, I want to see what that person's seeing and switch it on from my dispatcher and actually view it. But this is a complete product category on its own, and not taking you through it now, but just to let you know it is there because it is also a radio that connects into the normal push-to-talk voice communication. All our units, we have an app for Android and iOS. So as I stated earlier on, I can pick up my mobile phone and talk into the system. I can see where my other radios are and operate that as a phone. And talking about phone, we distribute the Rudgear range of ruggedized smartphones. Why are these different to an Apple or whatever? And let's take the security industry, where they don't want the guard pitching up with his iPhone that's half charged and then he has to charge it. I can change the battery on all these devices. It's a removable battery, which you don't get on an iPhone or most Samsungs. It's ruggedized. They all have a push-to-talk button on the side. So whilst I can talk from this without a push-to-talk, and you can see I've got, the app has a little PttoC button that I then push the screen. It's just so much easier to run it from a device like this. They have dual SIM, so I can put my my own private SIM into the unit, and they all have a camera. So, and they also all have an interface on the side, or the little one on the top, where I can go to a speaker microphone and use it like a traditional radio with a fixed microphone and have it on my belt. Okay, the dispatcher, and what I will do now is show you the dispatcher, which means I just have to fiddle in, stop the share, yeah, and bring up. Okay. Can we all see this now? The dispatcher on the screen? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, yes.
good. Okay, so that's our dispatcher. I'm just running from a computer. There's no tricks here. This is connected to our server through our Wi-Fi here, to our server, to our and Mary's radio down there in where I'm doing this presentation is logged onto the system. So I can see that Mary is on air right now because she's blue there. I can see Daniel, Daniel Test and Steve are offline. I don't know why Steve is offline now. I was hoping he would be online. I'm going to ask someone to go and call him and tell him to tell Steve to go online.
Sorry?
I've got your phone chicken.
Yes.
His radio is not online. Okay, so I can see who's online, and by pushing the PttoC on my radio, not the PttoC, the spacebar on my computer, I can talk to everyone. But I can also do a private call. If I want to just talk to Mary, there we can see I'm suddenly just connected to Mary, and if I talk to Mary, 1, 2, 3, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so there, and through the dispatcher, I heard Mary talk. Mary, just push your PttoC again. Mary?
Yeah, I did.
Just press it and hold it, keep it held down for a bit. You can see in the contacts, I can see Mary's coming in, so I know who's talking to me. Mary, push your back button. And now you can see Mary's jumped out of that private call, so I could have jumped out of it, or Mary can jump out of it, and I'm back into my group and I can talk to everyone. Or I might want to talk to this one and that, or those three people, and by pushing the PttoC, just talk to those people. But I can also, so where's my radio? So when I talk, you can see me jumping up and down there. I'm in Bondi Junction, and it shows me on the dispatcher where I am from this radius. I'm not talking on the dispatcher. Test 1, 2. Mary, can you hear me? And there you can see as Mary talks to me, my map has jumped down to show me where Mary is. So I can see exactly where Mary is when she talks. Ah, Steve's just come online. Steve, why don't you just give us a count to 5? Okay, so there you could see Steve's in Port Macquarie and talking to us over there. I can talk to different groups if I want to. And also, doesn't matter what group they're in. Let's say I wanted to talk to all the people just in the eastern suburbs of Sydney. I can go, or doesn't matter how small it is, I can just go and pull an area like that. And in fact, you can see it's just taking Karen over the bridge there. So a little more than the eastern suburbs. And now it will suddenly show me that those are the people it's found that are switched on in that location. And if I do a PttoC call now, I will talk to all of those people. So by area, and it just depends on your map zooming as well, where they are. But more so, there is more. Let me come back to this. Let's pick on Mary today. View Mary on the map, view on map. Let me see where Mary's been today. Show the last minute. End time. Hang on. Sorry, guys. I'll take this up to, what is our time now? Or whatever. And Mary, get you from 6 o'clock this morning, see what time you got out of bed, and show. So there we go. It's given me the track log of Mary leaving somewhere down in Frankston over there, driving, or let me zoom out, driving all the way. Yeah. I would have loved this in the company I worked for before, when I used to speak to our salespeople and I'd say, where are you? And they'd say, I'm at a customer, and I could hear the waves breaking in the background. So where's Mary? Mary's there at Radio Parts, in so much so that I can, like on my normal Google Play, I can go there, put my map down in front of your building, and now I know where Mary is. No hiding from us. So as you saw, every time it jumps around,
Was Mary speaking at all?
I've got a full track log.
Okay, I'll just check it.
I can put the points on there, and I can see Mary was at that point by Flagstaff Gardens at, where's my time? 8:05 this morning. And between that point and the last point, she was doing 41 kilometers an hour. So
Nice thing.
Thank you.
This track log is kept there. I can go back and see what Mary did last week or any radio did last week and get the full track log. I'm also getting a recording of every voice. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And sorry, I'm not clicked on my dispatcher here. 1, 2. Let me get back into my ToooAir test 1, 2, 3. And on the right hand side here, you'll see I've pulled up my call log, and you can see there's Mary, Steve, Peter. So when Steve spoke to us, I can double click on Steve here and get his talk. I don't know if you can hear that.
No.
You can't. Okay, it's coming out of my speaker, but because we're in a Zoom session, it's taken over the microphone. But I can go back and say, where was Mary at 3 o'clock in the morning and what did she say? If she was on patrol or something for work health and safety. And I can do those calls. I can set up the lone worker from here. I can do an all call. So I can have people in different groups, but I've got an all call button there that I can talk to the whole fleet at the same time. It is just very versatile. I do have the video side of it where I can bring in the videos if I had body worn cameras on there. But as I said, I'm not going to touch on that in this session. How are we doing for time? Okay. Okay, that's pretty much on the dispatcher. Very simple to use. It just runs over on a computer, and as you can see, I can just see who's on air, who isn't on air, whether they switch their radio off, and do an individual call easily by just clicking on the person, or when I'm on the whole group, the whole group. I will, okay, let me just stop the share here and come back to okay, we have a full range of accessories of either speaker microphones, leather cases for the radios and so on, and everything. Okay, are there any questions? No, very easy to sell. We do everything. We do the airtime, we do the putting of the whole system onto platform. You can, a customer can just come in and say, I want 5 radios, I want one as a, and I want a dispatcher as a base. We take over from it as far as we have a simple form, or we will talk to the customer to just say, how many groups do you want? You don't have to pay more for groups now like we had to before, when you had ACMA licensing in that. I want a group for the north side of Melbourne, one for the south. I can create 50 groups. It makes no difference. And we do all of that from our side and program all the radios over air. All good, guys?
I'll go through the rest.
Yeah, so you've got our local person down there, Mary. She's been in radio for 20 years. And yeah, we'll just take you through how easy it is if you get an inquiry or what you've done. You guys have already put on quite you've put on a few fleets for us, and thank you. And I thank you for your time and support.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.